This is the Lost Media Wiki homepage. You can see various lost media cases and also recently found media here. But if you take a look in the categories menu, you can see the Not Safe for Life section, which contains the darkest cases of lost media on the internet. And today, we're going to go through 100 of the darkest not safe for life lost media cases on the internet. So without any more delay, let's dive right in. Parkland School Shooting. The tragic shooting at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland resulted in 17 students losing their lives and 17 others being injured. It was one of the deadliest high school shootings in modern American history. Surveillance cameras captured various aspects of the incident, including exterior cameras that recorded the police response and interior cameras that documented the unfolding tragedy. However, only 6 edited video recordings have been released to the public. The first video shows Scott Peterson, the school resource officer, responding to the shooting but not entering the school, which sparked public outrage and calls for the footage's release. Additional outside security footage, including video from the main gate, walkways, and parking lot, has been made public. Nevertheless, video footage from inside the school is unlikely to be released due to the ongoing criminal investigation. Hansen vs. Predator was a hidden camera investigation series aired on Crime Watch Daily in 2016, inspired by To Catch a Predator. Hosted by Chris Hansen, it featured the exposure of adult men attempting to engage in sexual activities with minors aged 12 to 13, based on explicit online conversations with undercover adult decoys. Unlike To Catch a Predator, the Hansen vs. Predator chat logs were not publicly available, but most have been found and uploaded to YouTube. Uncut interviews and police interrogations were initially accessible on Hansen's website through a subscription service, but became inaccessible in 2020. Many uncut footage pieces have since been recovered and uploaded to YouTube. Some content remains missing, including David Tiriolo's chat log and 3 confrontations. Fred and Rose West's sex tapes. The Wests were notorious for their heinous crimes, including the murder of at least 12 young women and girls. Their gruesome actions were coupled with a disturbing fixation on their own sexual exploits. They recorded numerous homemade pornographic videos, often featuring Rose engaging in consensual sexual activities with clients of both sexes. These recordings were used as a form of voyeurism and shared with acquaintances, showcasing the extent of their sexual deviancy. Some rumors suggest even darker content involving their victims, but these remain unconfirmed, given the destruction of most of their tapes. Several documentaries have covered their crimes, revealing censored portions of these recordings to shed light on the extent of their depravity. Rat Killing is a 1894 blood sport film produced and directed by William Cale Dixon, distributed by the Edison Manufacturing Company. The film showcases a rat terrier killing at least 6 large rats in a ring. 3 other similar films, Rats and Terrier No. 2, Rats and Terrier No. 3, and Rats and Weasel, were produced on the same day. These early exploitation films were part of Edison's strategy to generate revenue by featuring unusual and taboo concepts, including animal blood sports. Handlers sometimes mistreated the animals to achieve desired action sequences due to the challenges of filming. While considered among Dixon's least successful films from a filmmaking perspective, they proved commercially viable. Rat Killing and its sequels are lost films with little hope of recovery, as nitrate deterioration was a significant issue for preserving early kinetoscope works. These films highlight the less innocent aspects of early filmmaking in the late 1800s, where footage of animal killings was not considered taboo as it is today. House of 1,000 Corpses, directed by musician Rob Zombie, faced significant censorship and editing challenges. Originally set for a 2000 release by Universal Studios, concerns over an NC-17 rating led to its shelving. It was eventually released by Lionsgate in 2003 with cut scenes, particularly those involving Baby Firefly, played by Sherry Moon Zombie, who had violent acts edited or removed. Rob Zombie filmed scenes in multiple ways, including different levels of gore and lighting to past censorship standards. Some scenes, like those with Miss Bunny, were entirely cut, and subplots featuring the skunk ape and the 4 tourists were removed. The full uncut version, running 105 minutes, was screened in Argentina, but finding the lost footage remains uncertain, with Zombie believing it may never be recovered. An alternate ending involving Jerry being eaten by zombies and excluding Dr. Satan was scrapped due to poor reception from Universal, but its fate is also unclear, likely lost with the deleted scenes. Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon were Dutch tourists visiting Panama in 2014, mysteriously disappeared while hiking the Pianista Trail near Boquete. Despite the official conclusion that they got lost and fell off a bridge, their case has been a mystery. Their backpack, discovered months later, contained their belongings in surprisingly good condition. A digital camera found within yielded a series of photos documenting their journey, including questionable inconsistencies in the timeline and editing suspicions. Disturbingly, the last batch of images, taken a week after their disappearance, remains unexplained. Their phones revealed failed attempts to call emergency numbers and unusual activity, further deepening the mystery. Finally, human remains found in the area were identified as belonging to Chris and Lisanne, solidifying the official explanation but leaving numerous unanswered questions. The release of the original, unedited photos could potentially shed more light on this perplexing case, which, as of now, remains closed. An execution by hanging. On July 6, 1898, Edward Heinsohn, an African-American man convicted of criminal assault on a 14-year-old white girl, was executed via hanging at a county jail yard in Jacksonville, Florida. This event was filmed by the American Mutoscope Company and distributed as An Execution by Hanging, marking one of the earliest known instances of a filmed legitimate execution. The film captured the grim scene, including his ascent to the platform, the placement of the noose, and the drop. The film ended before his death, which took approximately 15 minutes. The film's release and distribution by the American Mutoscope Company capitalized on the public's fascination with death and sensational topics, and it was commercially successful. However, it has also been criticized for its role in reinforcing racial tensions. The film's subject matter and its alternative title have been cited as examples of this problematic aspect. At least one complete mutoscope reel of the film still exists, which was sold at auction for a substantial sum. However, the film remains largely unavailable to the public, with only a few still images accessible. Andrew Blaze Tapes. Randy Stair, who started a YouTube channel called Pioneers Productions in 2008, initially focused on skits and other content, but later shifted his attention to animation due to lack of attention on the first channel. He was also employed at the Weiss grocery store chain, where he worked the overnight shift. Tragically, in the late hours of June 8, 2017, Stair carried out the shooting at his workplace, resulting in the deaths of 3 of his coworkers before taking his own life. Prior to the shooting, he posted links on his Ember's Ghost Squad channel to his journal, suicide tapes, and other materials, revealing his obsession with the fictional character Ember McLean from the Danny Phantom animated series. On Twitter, Stair shared Mediafire links to these materials, but his account was suspended shortly after, causing the files to be lost. While there have been re-uploads on YouTube, many of them have been removed by YouTube itself. Some of the tapes became corrupted during downloading, with only a few managing to obtain the complete files. Stair's journal was discovered 6 days after the shooting on June 14, 2017. However, his digital set was not found until June 26, 2017, when the entire collection was uploaded to archive.org, making it accessible to the public. Act Age was a series published by Weekly Shonen Jump from January 2018 to August 2020 and was written by Tatsuya Matsuki and illustrated by Shiro Yusuzaki. The series is set in modern-day Tokyo and follows Kai Yomeji, a girl who is so talented at method acting, she starts to lose the ability to tell reality from the characters she becomes. This psychological thriller became hugely successful, selling over 3 million copies over the course of 12 volumes. The series was published by Viz Media in America starting in December 2018. It was also critically acclaimed, being nominated for Best Manga at the 43rd Annual Kodansha Awards. In August of 2020, author Tatsuya Matsuki was arrested for inappropriately touching 2 female middle school students. Due to this crime, the series was immediately canceled by Shueisha in the middle of a story arc, leaving all work on the future of the series on the cutting room floor. In a later interview, it was confirmed that Shiro Yusuzaki was given the opportunity to continue Act Age and find a new writing partner, but she ultimately decided to cancel the series as she felt it would hurt the victims of the crime to see a work created by their assailant still being published. Any chapters already finished or in the drafting stages are probably in Shueisha headquarters in their archives, with Yusuzaki or Matsuki, or thrown out completely, leaving all unreleased material lost. After the arrest was made, Viz Media deleted all chapters from their website, although they were re-uploaded and still can be found on various sites. Any plans to release the chapters in volume format were canceled both in English and in Japanese. All the Money in the World. All the Money in the World is a 2017 drama film directed by Ridley Scott based on the 1973 kidnapping of John Paul Getty III. Originally, Kevin Spacey was cast as J. Paul Getty, but due to a wave of sexual misconduct allegations against him, Ridley Scott decided to reshoot all of Spacey's scenes with Christopher Plummer. The film was successfully reworked, with only one wide shot retaining Spacey. Ridley Scott has expressed that he has no intention of releasing Spacey's scenes. All-American Massacre. All-American Massacre is an unreleased independent film that serves as an unofficial spin-off to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 and 2. Directed by William Hooper, son of Tobe Hooper, the film aimed to be a 25th anniversary tribute to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was intended as both a prequel and sequel, bridging the plot with flashback sequences that connect to the first Chainsaw film, featuring characters like the Hitchhiker and Leatherface. Despite being completely finished, the film has never been released to the public, with speculation surrounding potential rights issues and financial constraints during post-production. Availability is limited, with some original film negatives appearing in an eBay auction and a small clip surfacing on YouTube in 2020. Release prospects remain uncertain. Video Diary of American Outdoorsman. In 2000, Aaron Ralston was trapped by a boulder and ultimately had to amputate his own forearm to free himself is a well-documented and remarkable survival story. During his days trapped in the canyon, Ralston recorded a video diary as a way to document his ordeal and say goodbye to his loved ones, as he believed he might not make it out alive. This video diary was intended to be private and personal, meant solely for his family and friends. Ralston, after his rescue, politely declined requests to make the footage public, respecting the deeply personal and emotional nature of the recordings. However, despite his wishes, some snippets of the video have been released to the public, providing a glimpse into the incredible and life-changing experience Ralston endured during those days of isolation and desperation. The full video diary remains private as per Ralston's wishes. A film titled 127 Hours, directed by Danny Boyle and starring James Franco as Aaron Ralston, was released in 2010. The movie is based on Ralston's memoir, Between a Rock and a Hard Place, and it depicts his extraordinary journey of survival and self-amputation. To prepare for the role, James Franco and the film's producers were allowed to view the home video footage that Ralston had recorded, which added an extra layer of authenticity to the film. Despite the film's release and the public's curiosity about Ralston's experience, he has remained steadfast in preserving the privacy of his original video diary, which serves as a personal testament to his incredible strength and determination in the face of extreme adversity. Lost on-board video of fatal Formula One crash. The tragic crash of racing legend Ayrton Senna during the 1994 Formula One San Marino Grand Prix remains a significant and controversial event in motorsport history. Senna's fatal accident occurred on the 7th lap of the race when his Williams FW16 left the track at 190 miles per hour and struck an unprotected concrete barrier, with the right front wheel entering the cockpit and hitting his helmet. The details of the crash have been the subject of much speculation, from a modified steering column to low tire pressures. Notably, footage from Senna's onboard camera cuts out before the crash, and the footage showing the accident itself has never been officially released. While there have been claims of missing seconds in the footage and suspicions surrounding its editing, no conclusive evidence has been provided. Additionally, other available footage of the accident remains largely inaccessible to the public. Bradford City versus Lincoln City. On May 11, 1985, Bradford City hosted Lincoln City at the Valley Parade Stadium for a Football League 3rd Division match. This game was meant to be a celebratory occasion for Bradford City, as they had already secured the championship for the 1984 and 1985 3rd Division season, marking their return to the 2nd Division. However, tragedy struck as the match had to be abandoned after just 40 minutes due to a devastating fire at the stadium that claimed the lives of 56 spectators. The fire was accidentally triggered by an Australian man who dropped a lit cigarette under the stands, igniting debris below. Efforts to extinguish the fire failed, and strong winds caused it to spread rapidly. Thankfully, most fans were able to escape onto the pitch, as there were no fences preventing their exit. However, within 4 minutes, the fire had consumed the entire stand, trapping those who had not yet escaped. Tragically, 56 people lost their lives and 256 others were injured, some by flaming debris falling onto the pitch. The match was being recorded by Yorkshire Television as part of ITV's regional program, The Big Match, with commentary by John Helm. However, the footage of the fire was closely guarded, and unauthorized usage resulted in legal actions. Some footage of the fire became available on video sharing platforms in the mid-2000s, but the majority of the football match itself remains missing. Yorkshire Television reportedly kept the master copy within a safe at its headquarters and denied multiple requests for its release. Bar Rescue Music City Mess. The Bar Rescue episode, titled Music City Mess, was originally scheduled to air on November 24, 2013, featuring John Taffer's efforts to help the struggling bar and its owner, Chris Farrell. However, the episode never aired due to a tragic incident where Chris Farrell shot and killed country singer Wayne Mills, claiming self-defense after a dispute over the bar's non-smoking rule and a threat made by Mills. Spike initially decided not to broadcast the episode and aired a rerun instead, but an accidental airing occurred 3 hours later. The episode was subsequently never broadcast again. Despite this, it was briefly available on Vimeo in 2015, and an archived version remains on archive.org. Bullseye. In 1989, serial killer John Cooper appeared on the game show Bullseye. Despite no signs of his dark past during the show, Cooper's criminal history would soon unfold. Just a month after his appearance, he killed a couple, Peter and Gwenda Dixon, during a robbery. It wasn't until 2009 that he was linked to these murders. His Bullseye appearance proved crucial in his conviction. Detectives found that Cooper's knowledge of the coastal area where the Dixons were killed and his resemblance to a sketch of a suspect connected to their case aligned with the evidence found on the show. This, along with forensic evidence, led to Cooper's life sentence for multiple murders. The episode has not been re-aired due to its sinister context, and only fragments of it are available online, with the possibility of other copies existing. Cannibal Holocaust. Cannibal Holocaust, directed by Ruggero Deodato in 1980, is infamous for its controversial content, which includes graphic violence, on-screen killings of live animals, sexual assault, and snuff film allegations. The film uses a found footage style and follows an anthropologist trying to locate a missing documentary crew in the Amazon. Due to its shocking content, the film was banned in multiple countries, including Italy and Australia, and the director faced obscenity charges and potential murder allegations. One of the planned but never completed scenes was known as the piranha scene, where a Shamatori warrior was to be amputated and fed to piranhas by the Yanomamo tribe. This scene was abandoned due to difficulties in controlling the piranhas and technical issues, with only production stills remaining. Rumors of its inclusion in obscure foreign video releases have been debunked, and the whereabouts of any surviving footage, if it exists, remain unknown. Cans Without Labels. John Kricfalusi's Kickstarter campaign for Cans Without Labels in 2012 promised various rewards to backers, including digital desktop toys, DVDs, and other items. Due to production issues and Kricfalusi's sexual abuse allegations in 2018, many backers did not receive their promised rewards, leaving them essentially lost media. These rewards included a copy of the short for $1, downloadable digital desktop toys for $10, a pack of 3 desktop toys for $20, and a DVD featuring the short along with a Ren and Stimpy special for $50. While some rewards could be found on John K's website, it's uncertain if they matched the Kickstarter promises or were sent to backers, given the project's troubled history and allegations against Kricfalusi. Centerfold Celebrities 2, Jamie Gillis and Brookfield Scene. Centerfold Celebrities 2 is a 1984 pornographic film featuring well-known actors from the adult entertainment industry. While much of the film follows typical standards of that era, there is a controversial scene involving actors Jamie Gillis and Brooke Fields. This scene has sparked discussion due to the discomfort displayed by Fields. Brooke Fields reportedly demanded the removal of this scene from the final product, and it was initially taken out. However, it somehow found its way into circulation, being screened at conventions and bootlegged on a small scale. The scene remained elusive until it eventually leaked online. The leaked version was heavily edited to make it appear consensual and pleasurable. However, eyewitnesses who saw a longer, unedited version recall Fields expressing discomfort, indicating that she may not have been consenting willingly. Despite these claims, Jamie Gillis was never charged with any criminal offense related to this scene. Shuro Tsubaki. In 1987, Hiroshi Harada, a Japanese storyboard artist, began working on a self-funded anime adaptation of a manga known as Midori. Unable to secure sponsors due to its graphic content, Harada financed and animated the entire film himself, with voice acting provided by an unknown cast. The animation process was extremely laborious, spanning several years and involving over 5,000 sheets of animation. Voice recording didn't start until 1991, and the film was completed in 1992. The film premiered in 1992 and was initially screened worldwide in its original form until 1994, when the Japanese Film Censor Board demanded edits to comply with Japanese standards. These edits included blurring techniques to censor female nudity, sexual violence, and violence towards animals, as well as muting discriminatory language. A telescene transfer in standard definition was made before these edits, preserving the original uncensored version. In 2006, a PAL DVD of the film was released by Cine Malta, initially believed to be the censored version. However, in a 2020 interview, Harada's production company clarified that the DVD actually contained the original uncensored version, including scenes intended for theater viewing. In 2013, the original 16mm negative of the film was rediscovered in an Imagica warehouse. Harada's production company used this negative to create a new uncensored print, which were screened at Japanese film festivals. A Blu-ray release of this uncensored version has been hinted at but not officially confirmed. Close Range is a 2009 Flash-based game created by The Onion, a satirical news website. The game parodies first-person shooter games like the Call of Duty series and involves shooting people in the face in a violent manner. The game's plot centers around a character named Ajay, who must rescue his kidnapped brother by exploding the faces of random people. The game was advertised through The Onion's YouTube videos, and a website for the parody game existed, featuring a playable demo. However, the playable demo is no longer accessible as the file for the game was not archived by the Wayback Machine. It is unclear whether The Onion has a backup of the file in their archives, and even if they do, it's unlikely they will release it to the public, unless someone provides a download of the original file or The Onion decides to make it available again. The game remains in a lost state. Clunk Click was a BBC television show hosted by Jimmy Savile, known for its road safety message to encourage people to wear seatbelts. The show, which aired from 1973 to 1974, involved Savile interviewing guests, including notable figures like Gary Glitter and Freddie Starr. However, it became infamous due to the sexual abuse allegations against Savile that emerged after his death in 2011. These allegations led to investigations, including Operation U-Tree, which uncovered at least 450 alleged victims and widespread abuse, even in places like hospitals. Some victims claimed their abuse occurred on the Clunk Click set, including within Savile's dressing room, where he invited vulnerable girls. Other celebrities, such as Gary Glitter and Freddie Starr, were also accused of abuse related to the show. As a result of these allegations, Clunk Click and other programs featuring Savile will never air on British television again, and most episodes are considered lost media, with only a few remaining accessible in the British Film Institute's archive and on YouTube. Colin Scott. On June 7, 2016, recent psychology graduate Colin Scott and his sister Sable tragically ventured into a prohibited area of Yellowstone National Park, intending to engage in hot potting in one of the thermal pools. Ignoring warning signs and deviating from the designated boardwalk route, Colin slipped and fell into a thermal spring at Norris Geyser Basin, leading to his untimely death and the complete dissolution of his body. Sable had filmed their excursion, including the fateful incident, which involved Colin's accidental submersion into the scalding spring. Unfortunately, due to the disturbing nature of the video and out of respect for the Scott family, park officials have chosen not to release the footage publicly. Colin Scott was a recent graduate of Pacific University and a dedicated Christian, remembered for his positive qualities and values. Columbine Library Audio. The audio refers to a chilling 911 call made by art teacher Patty Nielsen while she was hiding inside the library of Columbine High School during the tragic shooting rampage on April 20, 1999. While the first 5.5 minutes of the call have been released to the public, the rest is available only in transcript form due to its disturbing nature. The call captures the deaths of all 10 students who lost their lives in the library, with some pleading for their lives. Nielsen's call recounts the terrifying moments as she and others sought refuge under tables, while Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold carried out their rampage. Despite the desire for a complete recording, the families of the victims have protested its release, fearing it could inspire copycat incidents. The entire 911 call, lasting approximately 27 minutes, remains in the possession of the Jefferson County Police Department, which has no plans to release it to the public. Completion. In 1984, while serving time at San Quentin State Prison for his involvement in the 1969 murders of Sharon Tate and Rosemary LaBianca, Charles Manson corresponded with Flag frontman Henry Rollins. After some communication, Manson sent Rollins tapes of acoustic recordings he had made in prison. Rollins agreed to produce the material, resulting in an album called Completion. However, when news of SST Records, a fairly well-known label, planning to release the album by Manson emerged, it triggered an intensely negative public reaction, including death threats towards SST founder Greg Ginn. As a result, the release of Completion was cancelled, and as of 2023, the album remains unreleased. Rollins owns 2 of the 5 test pressings made, while the whereabouts of the other 3 remain unknown since Manson's death in 2017. The Cradle of Thorns was a Japanese love visual novel developed by Complete. It was released in 2014 for Android and iOS, available in both Japanese and English. The game featured a kinetic visual novel with a single storyline, following the tale of twin brothers, Johan and Joshua, who lived in seclusion in a mansion. Their lives took a twisted turn when they encountered a girl from the outside world. Players used in-game gems to progress through the story with a daily free roll option, or they could unlock all content for a one-time fee of $1.99. The story delved into themes of possessiveness and obsession, with Johan becoming jealous when his meek younger brother Joshua forms a connection with the visiting girl in their rose garden. Eventually, it's revealed that Johan killed the girl, cooked her remains, and fed them to his brother. The game also had a feature allowing readers to leave comments at specific story sections visible to others. However, as of 2021, the servers for the game and other Complete titles have been inactive. The reason for this cessation, including rumors of bankruptcy, remains unverified. The Crow. The Crow is a 1994 action horror film directed by Alex Proyas and starring the late Brandon Lee in his first and final lead performance. The film follows a man who is brutally murdered and then comes back from the dead with supernatural powers. During production in 1993, Brandon Lee was on the set filming an action scene. In the middle of a stunt, a gun that was loaded with blank cartridges suffered a malfunction. The spent blank casing from an earlier shot was jammed into the barrel. Upon using the gun again, the second blank went off and propelled the cartridge from the earlier shot forward, which hit Lee. He was rushed to the hospital and died later that day. His death was caught on camera and was allegedly destroyed under the insistence of the director. However, some of the cameramen claim otherwise, including one who even claimed to own a copy of the death footage. This footage has never been released or seen, and no legitimate stills from the footage have been found either. The Last House on Dead End Street. It is a 1977 horror film by Roger Watkins, and infamous for its extreme gore and disturbing atmosphere. It gained notoriety due to rumors suggesting that the on-screen murders might be real, further fueled by the use of pseudonyms in the credits instead of the actual cast members' names. This secrecy made it difficult to identify those involved in the film. An earlier, longer version titled The Cuckoo Clocks of Hell was reportedly screened in 1973, but was met with intense controversy, leading to its quick removal from theaters. The final 77-minute version eventually saw limited home media releases, but the original 3-hour cut remains unreleased, with rumors suggesting it may have been destroyed to avoid further controversy. However, there are unverified claims of a New York film archive possessing a print of the extended version. Dan Weldon. During the 2011 IndyCar World Championship at Las Vegas Motor Speedway on October 16, 2011, a tragic crash occurred during lap 12, involving driver Dan Weldon. Weldon's car became airborne and struck the catch fence cockpit first, leading to fatal head injuries. The crash was televised live by ABC, but the full onboard footage has been withheld from public viewing since then. The Canadian documentary show, Nerve Center, had access to parts of the onboard footage, but cut away at a critical moment during the crash. The tragic incident led to a reassessment of the safety of open-wheel racing on banked ovals. Daniel Dukes. Daniel Dukes was the second person to be killed by Tilikum, the largest orca held in captivity. On July 6, 1999, he somehow bypassed security and snuck into SeaWorld Orlando. It is uncertain what his exact time of death was, but he decided to go skinny dipping in Tilikum's sleep tank. Tilikum then reportedly thrashed Dukes around in the tank and eventually killed him. The whale continued to play around with Duke's body until the following morning when Tilikum was found parading Duke's lifeless body on his back. The whale had reportedly bitten off Duke's genitals, caused so many injuries that autopsy reporters were dumbfounded as to what the actual cause of death was, and left his face in such bad condition that his funeral had to be held closed casket. It is possible that Duke's death may have been captured on security camera footage. However, SeaWorld has declined to confirm this. There are confirmed pictures of his body being carried around by the whale taken by park employees for reference. However, the photographs and the surveillance footage, if it exists, had yet to surface, as these are more than likely being held by the FBI, never to be given out for an official release. Daniel Jones. On April 30th, 1998, Daniel Victor Jones tragically committed suicide on a Los Angeles freeway, a live event that was broadcast by several news helicopters. His act was a protest against health maintenance organizations, as he had been suffering from HIV and cancer and claimed mistreatment by them. Jones's dog also died in the flaming pickup truck. Moments before taking his own life, he displayed a banner reading, "HMOs are in it for the money. Live free, love safe, or die." Jones threw a satchel containing a videotape over the freeway wall before the suicide. While the contents of this videotape were shared in the news shortly after his death, it has not been made public since, and its current whereabouts remain unknown. The Dick Cavett Show. On June 5, 1971, during a taping of The Dick Cavett Show, health guru Jerome Rodale suffered a fatal heart attack and was pronounced dead shortly after finishing his interview. While sitting next to the next interviewee, Pete Hamill, Rodale suddenly slumped backward and made a sound described as snoring-like. Dick Cavett, the show's host, allegedly quipped, "Are we boring you, Mr. Rodale?" Though he later denied saying this. Cavett recalled the feeling that Rodale was genuinely in distress and asked if there was a doctor in the audience. Ironically, during his interview, Rodale had boasted about his good health and desire to live a long life. The episode was never broadcast, and a rerun took its place. While it's rumored that Cavett still possesses the master tape, this claim remains unverified. Droz vs. D'Lo Brown. The 1999 wrestling match between Droz and D'Lo Brown had a tragic outcome. During the match, Brown incorrectly executed a powerbomb finisher due to Droz's loose shirt, fracturing 2 of his neck vertebrae. Droz became a permanent quadriplegic after successful neck surgery. Despite the accident, Droz and Brown remained close friends. Droz maintained a positive outlook on life, using a specialized wheelchair and inspiring others with his resilience. He sadly passed away on June 30, 2023, at the age of 54. Regarding the footage of the match, it was taped but never released. The footage remains in the archive with instructions not to view, copy, or destroy. Arena Fire. On October 28, 1995, during an Extreme Championship Wrestling event in Philadelphia, a highly controversial and dangerous incident occurred. Following the main event between Cactus Jack and Tommy Dreamer, a stunt involving a chair wrapped in a towel that was set on fire went terribly wrong. Cactus Jack attempted to hit Terry Funk with the flaming chair, but it ended up engulfing Tommy Dreamer in flames instead. This led to panic among the audience, with the chair burning uncontrollably and pieces of burning towel falling off it. Some fans tried to help Funk, while others began to panic. Employees with fire extinguishers entered the scene, but their efforts caused further chaos as they shot extinguishers through the ring, causing fans to choke and cough. The situation escalated when the arena lights were turned off, leading to a stampede for the exits and injuries among the crowd. Funk and Dreamer suffered injuries, with Funk hospitalized for second-degree burns on his right arm. No footage of the incident has been publicly released, with Extreme Championship Wrestling claiming the tape was accidentally erased, but it might be within World Wrestling Entertainment's tape library. Eric Harris's Doom Levels. The Columbine High School shooting, a tragic event that occurred on April 20, 1999, resulted in the loss of 13 lives and numerous injuries. The perpetrators, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, were high school seniors. Before the shootings took place, Eric Harris was known to have created various Doom packages of files for the video game Doom, some of which he shared with friends. There is a quote from Eric Harris mentioned on page 7043 of the 11,000-page Columbine report, where he claimed to have created a level in Doom that was Columbine High School. This statement has led some to speculate that Harris and Klebold may have used a Doom for planning However, no concrete evidence has emerged to confirm this, and the specific packages of files in question are currently lost and cannot be downloaded. A possible lead was discovered on June 15, 2019, in one of Eric Harris' recently uncovered files, where he mentioned realdoom.zip. This file might be connected to the rumored Columbine level, but further investigation is required to confirm its relevance. Event Horizon. The 1997 sci-fi horror film Event Horizon, directed by Paul Anderson, initially had a longer cut that ran for at least 130 minutes, featuring significantly more graphic violence and gore than the version that was eventually released. However, when Anderson screened this initial cut for Paramount, the studio was disturbed by the extreme violence depicted in the film. Anderson believed that the film had not been given enough time in post-production for proper refinement, and it was shown to test audiences prematurely. The test audiences had similarly negative reactions to the gruesome content, leading Paramount to force Anderson to edit the film down by 30 minutes, specifically removing the extremely grim material. Some of the deleted material from the original cut included scenes like Dr. Weir being briefed on the ship's return, Captain Miller discovering a human tooth with gum attached, an extended and incredibly graphic version of the bloody orgy scene, a more intense final battle between Weir and Miller, more graphic visions of Miller's crew suffering in hell, and a longer scene showing Captain Miller discovering a corpse. These scenes were removed due to their extreme content, making the final theatrical version of Event Horizon considerably less gruesome than the original cut. Falling is an independent drama film directed by Richard Dutcher, was briefly in theaters in 2008, and has not been released on any home media platform. In 2015, Dutcher filed a lawsuit against Bold Films, Open Road Films, and NBC Universal, alleging that their film Nightcrawler plagiarized Falling. The lawsuit survived several motions and summary judgments before a U.S. district judge allowed it to go before a jury. However, due to Open Road Films' bankruptcy, the trial was halted, and the case was eventually dismissed in August 2019. The film's plot centers on a couple whose marriage and beliefs crumble as they pursue their ambitions in Hollywood, leading to a tragic climax. Despite some limited screenings, Falling remains largely unavailable to the public, with only a few trailers and clips accessible online. Father Ted, Going to America. Father Ted is a Channel 4 sitcom that aired from 1995 to 1998, starring Dermot Morgan as Father Ted Crilly, who is exiled to live on a fictional island called Craggy Island. The final episode, Going to America, originally had a darker ending where Father Ted contemplated suicide, but this was changed following Dermot Morgan's sudden death after filming. In the revised ending, Ted decides not to leave for America, and the episode concludes with a montage of moments from the series. Morgan's health had deteriorated during filming, and he suffered a heart attack and passed away a day after filming the episode. The writers had already intended to change the ending, and Morgan's death solidified their decision, considering the original ending inappropriate given the circumstances. The original ending script exists, but has never been publicly released. Fireworks Safety. Fireworks Safety was a British public information film made in 1976, warning parents about the dangers of fireworks. It featured a graphic and disturbing close-up scene in which a young child is severely injured by fireworks. The film received negative public feedback due to its disturbing imagery. As a result, it was moved to air only after 9 p.m. and was eventually removed from television altogether. An edited version without the controversial scene is said to have aired around 1985 to 1986. The film highlights parental responsibility in ensuring their children's safety around fireworks. For many years, both the full and edited versions were considered inaccessible, but it was eventually made available on YouTube in 2014 and by the British Film Institute in higher quality later that year. Fleege. Fleege was a German talk show hosted by Jürgen Fleege from 1994 to 2005, known for its controversial discussions on various topics. However, one particular episode from 1998 gained infamy among internet sleuths due to its alleged link to the Teddy Bear Man case. This case involved the discovery of unidentified human remains in Norway in 1992, with the person carrying a teddy bear and other peculiar items. Despite renewed interest in the case in 2022, no concrete evidence of the episode's existence has been found, and both Jürgen Fleege and the network that aired his show claim they couldn't locate any relevant segments in their archives. The search for this elusive episode continues, with doubts arising about whether it was a Fleege episode or from a different talk show entirely. Friday the 13th Part 2. The film underwent multiple edits and cuts by the MPAA to avoid an X rating. These edits included reducing the violence and graphic nature of various death scenes, such as Alice's death by an iceberg, Crazy Ralph's strangulation, and the policeman's death. The most infamous cut was the double impalement scene, which showed a spear penetrating two characters in graphic detail. Additionally, there was an uncut scene at the end where Jason's mother's mummified head opens her eyes and smiles, but it was cut for impact reasons. The uncut footage remained elusive for years, but it was rediscovered in 2020 from a VHS tape owned by the film's special effects artist, Carl Fullerton. This uncut footage is now available in the Friday the 13th Blu-ray box set released by Scream Factory. Gangnam Style Massacre. Gangnam Style Massacre was a mobile game released for iOS on November 4th, 2012, designed to capitalize on the popularity of the song Gangnam Style. The game involved shooting arrows to hit vases on a character's head and was set in a school environment. However, following the tragic Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting on December 14, 2012, the game underwent significant changes. It was rebranded as Gangnam Dance School, with altered gameplay and storyline. In this updated version, players ran from a character called the Kingdom Witch. The original version of the game is not easily accessible due to these changes, but it was rediscovered and uploaded to the Internet Archive in June 2022 by a user on a Lost Media subreddit. Gangster Squad. Gangster Squad is a mobster movie set in 1949 Los Angeles, loosely based on a special unit force of the same name aiming to take down gangster Mickey Cohen. Originally scheduled for release in September 2012, the film faced delays and changes due to the mass shooting in Aurora, Colorado during a screening of The Dark Knight Rises in July 2012, as both films were distributed by Warner Bros. The original trailer for Gangster Squad featured a shootout scene set inside the Grauman's Chinese Theater, which was considered sensitive given the Aurora tragedy. In response, the trailer was pulled and reshoots were conducted to move the scene to Chinatown. The movie was eventually released on January 11th, 2013. The original scene is unlikely to surface officially due to its association with the Aurora shooting. However, a brief excerpt from the original trailer featuring that scene exists as the only remnant. Georgie Small vs. Laverne Roach. On February 22, 1950, middleweight boxers Small and Roach faced off at Manhattan's Street Nicholas Arena in a televised match by CBS. Roach, a former Marine and promising boxer, had a successful career until a brutal loss to Marcel Cerdan in 1948, which forced him to take an 18-month break from boxing. He made a comeback in 1950 and faced Small, who had a strong record. Roach dominated most of the fight, but in the 8th round, Small landed a devastating blow, causing Roach to bleed. Despite Roach's resilience, the match was stopped in the 10th round after another knockdown, and Roach later collapsed, passing away from a subdural hemorrhage. Small faced no charges, and an investigation led to reforms in boxing safety protocols. No footage of this historic and tragic match is publicly available due to limited telerecordings at the time. Groupie. Groupie is a controversial short film by Marilyn Manson, his first venture into filmmaking, shot between 1996 and 1998 during a house party he hosted. The film features disturbing and perverse scenes involving a stooge actress portraying a young groupie coerced into various disturbing acts in front of unsuspecting guests who were told they were partaking in a filming event. The film includes explicit content, including acts of violence and sexual nature. It was only partially released, with a short segment featuring a distressed woman tormented by Manson. The full film's fate remains unknown, despite hints of a release in 2016. Greyhound Racing Ireland is a state-owned organization. It licenses races at 14 tracks and uploads race footage to its website and YouTube channel. However, it has faced criticism for withholding footage of races where greyhounds suffered falls and injuries. This scrutiny has been fueled by concerns about the treatment of greyhounds, with thousands being euthanized annually due to various reasons, including not meeting race performance standards and overbreeding. Additionally, the sport's popularity has declined, with attendance dropping significantly after a documentary revealed these issues. Campaigners have accused Greyhound Racing Ireland of not making footage of these incidents public, prompting calls for transparency. While politicians have inquired about this matter, Greyhound Racing Ireland contends that it is not legally required to release all race footage, making it unlikely that these videos will be made public unless legislation changes. Halloween 5: The Revenge of Michael Myers faced heavy censorship by the MPAA during its release due to violence, leading to multiple cuts. The film originally had a scene featuring an occult member named Dr. Death who would perform a ritual to raise Michael Myers from the dead, but it was removed due to concerns about its occult content. Several scenes with extended violence were shortened or cut entirely, including one where Michael kills a SWAT team outside a children's hospital, with graphic details described by the actor John Platten. Shout Factory found master tapes of the film, and a release included a 28-second bonus feature with deleted gore scenes, though the footage was limited, lacked audio, and had framing issues. Heartbeat in the Brain is a 1970 documentary about Amanda Fielding's self-trepanation operation, where she cuts a small hole in her skull in an attempt to explore altered states of consciousness. Amanda Fielding is a British scientist, artist, and drug policy reformer known for her research involving psychoactive substances like cannabis, MDMA, LSD, conducted through the Beckley Foundation. The film contains footage of her self-operation and scenes featuring her pet pigeon, Birdie. While the film was thought to be lost due to limited screenings, it was rediscovered and screened again in 2011 at the Institute of Contemporary Arts in London. While the full film has never been made available online, snippets or brief excerpts from the film can be seen in a 1998 documentary, A Hole in the Head. Hellraiser. Hellraiser is a 1987 body horror film written and directed by Clive Barker, based on his novella The Hellbound Heart. The film follows the Cotton family's disturbing journey, with Julia attempting to resurrect her dead lover through gruesome means. Despite its initial notoriety for extreme violence and gore, the movie achieved commercial success and critical acclaim, becoming a cult classic and inspiring sequels and other horror films. However, the original cut was edited by the MPAA to secure an R rating, resulting in lost footage, some of which has been recovered, but a complete uncut version remains elusive. I Have No Mouth, and I Must Scream. It is a 1995 horror science fiction adventure game based on Harlan Ellison's short story. The game revolves around a futuristic world where a malevolent computer tortures 5 remaining humans. Original, uncut scenes from the game, including a meat locker with human bodies, a puppy that could be healed with a human heart. These scenes were either modified or omitted in the official release, possibly due to concerns over controversy, pacing, or atmosphere. Unfortunately, a playable version with the extended scenes has yet to be discovered. Ian Brady's Briefcases. Murders committed by Ian Brady and Myra Hindley between 1963 and 1965 were among the most notorious crimes in British history. They were convicted of murdering 5 people. Despite their convictions, the bodies of some victims remained undiscovered for years. A particularly horrifying aspect of this case was the discovery of audio tape recordings of the couple torturing and murdering one of their victims, Leslie Ann Downey. These recordings were found in suitcases left by Brady at Manchester Central Railway Station in 1965, but will never be released due to legal restrictions. After Brady's death in 2017, there was interest in the contents of his locked briefcases, as they were believed to contain documents that might reveal the location of Keith Bennett's body, one of their victims that was never found. Requests to access the briefcases have been denied, but a proposed change in legislation might enable the police to gain access in the future, though as of today, this change is still under discussion. In the Distance. Yasuko Endo, a Japanese model and actress, tragically took her own life on March 29, 1986, just before her singing debut. Her single, In the Distance, was scheduled for release in May 1986, with Telephone as the B-side. While Pony Canyon reportedly canceled the single release and destroyed copies, it's possible that some copies survived due to promotion already underway. Nevertheless, no recordings of the single or its B-side have surfaced to date. Interestingly, Tetsuo Sakurai, who produced the song In the Distance for Yasuko Endo, recorded a cover of the same song on his album Dewdrops. This could be seen as a tribute or homage to Yasuko Endo and her work in the music industry. IndyCar. The 1916 to 1922 Universal Film Trophy races at the Uniontown Speedway were deadly events with fatal accidents, particularly in 1916 when Charles Heist and Frank Bush died during practice, and a tragic crash during the race took the lives of Huey Hughes and Frank Galvin. The 1972 Michigan 200 saw Merle Bettenhausen's career-ending accident on lap 3. In the 1975 Michigan 150, Bobby Unser suffered a leg injury that ended his season prematurely. The 1996 Las Vegas 500K featured numerous crashes, including injuries to Brad Murphy, Tony Stewart, and Johnny O'Connell. Footage of these events is limited or missing, with some broadcasts possibly resurfacing, but much remains inaccessible or lost. Cannibal Instinct, or 12 Days, is an unfinished novel written by the Mexican serial killer and cannibal José Luis Calva, who tragically ended his own life in prison just a few months after his arrest in October 2007. The novel is known to contain disturbing themes, including cannibalism, sex, sadomasochism, and coprophagia, the consumption of human waste. Calva's traumatic childhood experiences may have contributed to the dark path he eventually took. He was arrested when police discovered the mutilated body of his missing girlfriend, Alejandra Galeana, and found evidence of his gruesome acts, including human flesh in his refrigerator, cooked human flesh and bones. The novel and other writings, possibly including poetry, were also discovered at the scene. Due to the nature of these texts and their author, it is unlikely that they will ever be officially released. The Japanese Cannibal. In the summer of 1981, a horrifying and gruesome incident occurred when Issei Sagawa, a Japanese student studying in France, invited his classmate, Renée Hardevelt, to his apartment for dinner and to study poetry. Tragically, Sagawa's intentions took a sinister turn as he shot Hardevelt and proceeded to dismember her body, consuming her flesh over the course of 3 days. He also engaged in disturbing activities with the corpse, and documented the entire ordeal with photographs and a tape recording. Sagawa's attempt to dispose of Hardevelt's body went awry when he lost a suitcase containing her body parts in a public garden. This led to his arrest and earned him the moniker the Japanese Cannibal in the media. French police purportedly possessed the alleged tapes and other evidence related to this gruesome case, making it highly unlikely that they will ever surface for public viewing, given the horrifying nature of the crime. It. In the 2017 film adaptation of It, there's a deleted scene that hasn't been officially released due to its disturbing content. This scene is a flashback set in the 1600s, depicting a woman named Abigail seeking refuge in a well house with her crying baby. As she tries to calm her child, an eerie force causes the room's chandelier to spin, revealing a naked, pale Pennywise. In this form, Pennywise boasts about being the eater of worlds and presents Abigail with a sadistic choice. He'll take both her and her baby, or he'll spare her and her other child and 60-year-old boy and consume the baby. Abigail tearfully kisses her baby goodbye, and Pennywise proceeds to devour the child. The scene ends with Pennywise revealing the Deadlights, his truest form that can drive people insane or to their deaths with a single glance. This deleted scene has generated intrigue, but hasn't been officially released as of now. Jacob's Ladder. Jacob's Ladder, a 1990 thriller or horror film, gained notoriety for its disturbing imagery and was initially deemed too overwhelming for test audiences. Consequently, about 20 minutes of footage were cut from the final release, with only 3 of these scenes making their way into another version. However, 8 scenes remain lost, and fragments of them can be glimpsed in the original trailers for the movie. These lost scenes include disturbing moments like a subway bathroom encounter, a mute Jacob attempting to scream, a sex scene between Jacob and Jesse with Jacob confessing his demons, and a glimpse into the Hell Hospital's patients. Jason Leffler. On June 12, 2013, NASCAR driver Jason Leffler tragically lost his life in a sprint car race at Bridgeport Speedway due to a front suspension failure that caused a severe crash. During a heat race, Leffler's car suffered a suspension failure, leading to a loss of control, a collision with the outside concrete wall, and the vehicle flipping over. Despite wearing restraints designed to protect against frontal impacts, these restraints were not sufficient for side-on crashes, resulting in a fatal blunt force neck and backbone injury. Despite efforts by medics to resuscitate him, Leffler passed away at the age of 37. While there are photos and footage of the aftermath of the crash, no video of the crash itself has surfaced. A spectator recorded parts of the race, but it is unclear whether they captured the crash. Additionally, one Reddit user claimed to possess 2 videos of the crash, but chose not to share them out of respect for Leffler's family. Jen. A Canadian YouTuber, gained notoriety for posting highly controversial and disturbing content on her YouTube channel. She initially uploaded vlogs, guilt admission videos, and self-improvement content. However, some of her most shocking videos included admitting to having her pet rabbits put down for her own convenience, advocating for incest between consenting adults, and her most infamous video, where she advocated for pedophilia by claiming that children are as curious as adults. Her channel faced a significant backlash after YouTubers criticized her content. Later on, some of her videos got taken down, and she would later delete all of her videos and her other social media accounts, such as YouTube, leaving only her Tumblr remaining. 5 videos were recovered in their entirety, but these were later taken down following a copyright claim by Jen herself. The Jenny Jones Show. The Jenny Jones Show gained notoriety in 1995 due to the Same-Sex Crushes episode, which was recorded on March 6, 1995, but never aired on TV. It featured Scott Amager, who had a crush on his co-worker, Jonathan Schmitz, who was unaware of Amager's feelings. During the show, Schmitz learned about Amager's crush, but seemed unfazed and even laughed it off on stage. Tragically, 3 days later, on March 9, 1995, Schmitz shot and killed Amager at his home in Michigan. Schmitz had a history of mental illness and substance abuse. He was convicted of second-degree murder and served time in prison, eventually being released in 2017. Due to the murder and subsequent trial, the Same-Sex Crushes episode was never broadcast. However, portions of it were shown during Court TV's trial coverage and featured in documentaries like HBO's Talked to Death and the series Trial by Media. In 2023, a Reddit user claimed to have found the entire episode on Court TV's website, where it had been available since at least June 2022. Jim'll Fix It. Jim'll Fix It was a BBC television show hosted by Jimmy Savile. It ran from 1975 to 1994 and aimed to grant the wishes of guests, often children, who wrote in with their requests. The show's premise was to fix it for these wishes to come true during each episode. It had a variety of requests, from naming a rose after someone to creating a special episode. Following Jimmy Savile's death in 2011, numerous child sexual abuse allegations emerged, with claims of abuse occurring during the show's tapings. Savile's abuse was an open secret at the BBC, and some victims of his abuse were guests on Jim'll Fix It. Due to these allegations, the show and Savile's other programs will never air on British television again, and many episodes are considered lost media. The Joey Bishop Show. The Joey Bishop Show's episode, number 85, featuring Von Meter, holds a unique historical significance due to its unfortunate timing. This episode was filmed just a week before President John F. Kennedy's assassination on November 22, 1963. As a result, NBC decided to cancel the episode's planned air date in February 1964, and all known copies of it were reportedly destroyed. The cancellation also had a significant impact on Von Meter's career, as he was famous for his Kennedy impersonation in the 1960s. This lost episode, along with Meter's career downfall, remains shrouded in mystery, with no known surviving copies or stills, making it a potential forever lost piece of television history. Joy Junction. Joy Junction was a Christian-themed television game show from the 1980s hosted by Sheriff Don, set in the fictional village of Joy Junction. The show featured various games and lessons based on Bible teachings, along with a cast of characters including Mrs. Peterson, the professor, Ron, and his puppet Marty. It originally aired on the Christian Television Network and was later syndicated on other children's television blocks. However, the show faced controversy in 2013 when Ronald Brown, the puppeteer who portrayed Ron and Marty, was charged with child pornography-related offenses, including disturbing chat group conversations detailing heinous acts. He was also charged with a past traffic violation related to children's underwear found in his vehicle, which he claimed were for his puppets. Brown's actions led to his imprisonment, labeling as a sex offender, and restrictions from contact with minors and online services. As for the show's availability, most of the tapes may have been destroyed following the controversy surrounding Ron Brown. Currently, only 2 surviving episodes and various clips are known to exist on YouTube, with additional episodes uploaded since April 2021. Commercial copies of Joy Junction and another show called Becky's Barn were once available through a donation, but no known copies of these tapes exist today. Jules Bianchi. Jules Bianchi's tragic accident during the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix was a turning point in Formula One history. Driving for the Marussia team, Bianchi lost control of his car in heavy rain, leading to a collision with a tractor crane at the Dunlow Curve. He suffered a diffuse axonal injury, a severe traumatic brain injury, and remained in a coma until his passing on July 17, 2015. This incident marked the first Formula One driver fatality following a Grand Prix accident since Ayrton Senna's in 1994. The lack of official footage of the crash has led to speculation of the reasons behind its unavailability. While amateur recordings of the accident exist online, Formula One management has withheld the official footage, either out of respect for Bianchi or due to concerns about potential implications. Kinniku Banzuk. On May 5, 2002, during the filming of an episode titled Power Island for the Japanese game show Kinniku Banzuk, disaster struck. The episode featured a challenging obstacle called Rock Attack, where contestants had to catch a 47 kilograms rolling ball and push it up a slope for use in the subsequent obstacle. During this episode, 19-year-old Waitao successfully completed Rock Attack but lost his balance on the Rock Valley ball, falling into a waterway. Although he managed to climb out unassisted, Teo later complained of pain and was diagnosed with a cervical vertebra injury. The next contestant, 20-year-old Takanori Aiza, attempted to catch the rolling ball and Rock Attack, but failed, falling and losing consciousness. Aiza, too, was diagnosed with a cervical vertebra injury, and reports suggested he suffered leg paralysis as a result. After these accidents, TBS suspended filming and eventually canceled Kinniku Banzuk, despite its high television ratings. The Power Island episode was never aired, and all 35 course attempts remain inaccessible to the public. Photos of the course can be found online through various news reports. Launch of HMS Albion. On June 21, 1898, the battleship HMS Albion was launched in the River Thames, a significant event attended by around 30,000 spectators, including many London schoolchildren. The launch was captured by several early filmmakers. The massive wave created by the descending ship caused a nearby gangway to collapse, leading to a tragedy in which over 30 people drowned, primarily women and children. The disaster was attributed to both the inadequate construction of the gangway and the overcrowded conditions, although some believed that the authorities could have done more to prevent the disaster. Filmmaker Robert Paul faced controversy for distributing footage of the disaster aftermath, leading to a debate about the ethics of filming such events. Today, only 2 surviving films from the launch exist, one by Prestwich showing the ship's descent and another by Paul depicting the rescue efforts. Lol Superman. The video is a highly controversial and elusive piece of lost media allegedly showing graphic footage of people falling from the World Trade Center towers. It was reported to have surfaced around 2006 and gained notoriety as a shock video. The video, believed to be under 2 minutes in length, was described as showing shaky cam footage of individuals jumping from the towers and the aftermath of their falls. Witness accounts vary, with some claiming that it depicted bodies falling onto nearby cars, which has been disputed. The video is extremely difficult to find as it was likely removed from most online platforms due to its graphic and disturbing content. While there have been claims of its existence and sporadic attempts to locate it, including a recent FOIA request to the FBI, no confirmed footage of the video is known to exist at this time. The search for the video remains challenging due to its disturbing nature and legal restrictions on its distribution. Luby's Cafeteria. The Luby's Cafeteria walkthrough video is a piece of crime scene footage that captures the aftermath of a tragic mass shooting at a Luby's restaurant in Killeen, Texas in 1991, where 23 people lost their lives. Portions of this video have been publicly released, although a full version has yet to surface on the internet. The video shows the restaurant interior after the shooting, with deceased individuals marked by green dining napkins covering their faces. Some victims' positions in the video differ from their initial positions at the time of the shooting, suggesting that the walkthrough might have begun with a general overview before specific bodies were documented. This footage has been featured in documentaries and TV shows, with censored versions showing more graphic scenes while protecting the identities of the deceased. As of December 2021, the video is believed to be in the possession of the Killeen Police Department, and it remains unclear if copies exist elsewhere among former investigators. Lucifer Rising. Lucifer Rising is an experimental short film directed by Kenneth Anger, initially completed in 1973 with a soundtrack by Jimmy Page, but fully released in 1980. However, the film's history is marred by a convoluted backstory involving an earlier version shot in 1966 featuring Bobby Beausoleil, who later became a member of the Manson family and was convicted of murder. This early version allegedly went uncompleted as Beausoleil supposedly stole much of the footage and either destroyed it or buried it in the Californian desert. Beausoleil and his supporters contest the existence of this footage. The film's narrative revolves around the summoning of the dark angel Lucifer by Egyptian gods to establish a new occult age influenced by the Ordo Templi Orientis. Despite the tumultuous production history and disputes, Kenneth Anger eventually completed and released Lucifer Rising in 1980 with Beausoleil contributing a soundtrack. Some parts of the earlier versions of the film have since resurfaced, while others remain lost. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines flight disappeared during a routine flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. After its final communication with air traffic control, the plane's transponder went silent and it deviated from its course, eventually crossing the Strait of Malacca and heading into the Andaman Sea. The last contact, a logon request message to an Inmarsat satellite, was received more than an hour and 40 minutes after it was supposed to have arrived in Beijing. Despite extensive search efforts, only a few pieces of debris were found. All 227 passengers and 12 crew members are presumed dead, and the plane's fate remains a mystery. The flight's data and cockpit voice recorders, crucial for understanding what happened, were not recovered due to limitations in their underwater locator beacons that had a maximum battery life of 30 days. Various search efforts failed to locate the ULB pulses, and no confirmed recoveries have been made. There have been numerous theories about the plane's fate, including hijacking, suicide by the captain, cyber attacks, and even outlandish ideas like a black hole or alien abduction. While air traffic control communications were recorded, critical information from the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder remains inaccessible unless they are recovered in the future. Manhunt 2. Manhunt 2, a sequel to the 2003 game Manhunt, faced significant censorship challenges due to its extreme violence. The game revolves around Daniel Lamb and Leo Kaspar, who attempt to uncover Daniel's past while being pursued by a shadowy organization called The Project. It introduced new gameplay elements, such as players having to hold their breath in shadows to avoid detection. Both the British Board of Film Classification and the Entertainment Software Rating Board initially banned the game due to its extreme content. Rockstar Games, the developer, had to make changes, including blurring kill scenes and removing certain types of executions. Eventually, a censored version received an M rating and was released in the United States in 2007. In 2008, after legal actions, the BBFC allowed the release of the game with an 18 certificate in the UK. An uncensored version briefly appeared in 2009 but was removed from sale. In March 2022, an uncut version became available for download on archive.org. Marquis de Sade, infamous for his highly sexual and sadistic writings, endured multiple imprisonments and spent 32 years of his life incarcerated for his controversial works. He continued to write even under harsh conditions, resorting to carving his writings into walls and even using his own blood as ink when materials were confiscated. After his death, his son burned many unpublished manuscripts, resulting in the loss of numerous works. However, in 1905, one of his most disturbing writings, The 120 Days of Sodom, was discovered in a small scroll of paper inside one of his cells. This manuscript, despite its disturbing content, has survived and can be found online. De Sade's legacy has evolved over time, with recognition of his intellectual and revolutionary contributions amid his disturbing writings. Many of his lost works are still of great interest to historians, collectors, and scholars, as they were known to exist primarily through his journal writings. Medical Island. Medical Island is a South Korean-American online comedy horror animated series that combines flash animation with CGI. It consists of 18 short episodes produced by Margaret Dean, Michael Paulus, and Studio Animal. The series is set on a prison-like island medical facility controlled by Dr. Franken, where people are subjected to experiments that modify their bodies. Notably, episodes 1 to 8 and episode 18 lack dialogue, while episodes 9 to 17 included. The show contains haunted scenes, gore, and explicit content, making it unsuitable for minors. Briefly appearing on the adware website Zango.com before being removed due to business practice concerns. In March 2009, it was viewable on Crackle.com and received a nomination. Some episodes are available on YouTube, but many are no longer playable, and summaries can be found in the Internet Archive. Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher, the legendary Formula One racer, holds several remarkable records in the sport, including 7 World Drivers' Championship titles, 91 wins, 68 pole positions, and 155 podium finishes. However, a tragic accident occurred on December 29, 2013, while he was skiing with his son in the French Alps. Schumacher fell and suffered a serious head injury despite wearing a helmet. He was airlifted to Grenoble Hospital and put into a medically induced coma. In December 2016, reports emerged that secret photos of Schumacher and his paralyzed state were being offered to media outlets for $1 million. German prosecutors launched an investigation, denouncing it as a violation of Schumacher's privacy. Despite confirmation of the photos' existence, they have not been made public due to the ongoing police investigation and out of respect for Schumacher and his family. Midnight Rider. The Allman Brothers Band, iconic pioneers of Southern rock, saw their story take a tragic turn in 2014 during the production of a biographical film titled Midnight Rider. On the first day of filming, the crew encountered a serious accident while attempting to shoot a dream sequence involving actor William Hurt as Greg Allman on a train trestle. Safety precautions and permissions were lacking, and as an oncoming train approached, the crew had to hastily evacuate, leaving behind equipment. Tragically, camera assistant Sarah Jones was struck and killed by the train, resulting in multiple legal cases and safety campaigns in her honor. Despite initial intentions to continue the film, including recasting Hurt, the project was eventually shelved due to mounting controversy and legal issues. Consequently, very little footage from Midnight Rider is available to the public, making it likely that the film will remain unfinished. Miter Chabancha, an iconic figure in Thailand's golden age of cinema, starred in numerous films. In 1970, tragedy struck during the production of his final film, In Sithong, which he also produced and directed. While attempting a daring scene involving a helicopter, Miter was left dangling from a rope ladder, unable to climb aboard. Unfortunately, he lost his grip and fell to the ground, resulting in his instant death. The incident was captured on camera, and initially, the footage was included in the film's release. However, when the film was later released on DVD in 2005, the footage of Miter's fall was removed, and the movie was edited to pay tribute to the actor's life. Since then, this footage has not been publicly available, as it is likely considered too sensitive to release out of respect for Miter Chabancha's memory. Steam Cannon. In the 2006 Mythbusters episode, a segment involving lab mice and the nutritional content of cardboard went horrifically wrong. The experiment featured 3 groups of mice, one eating normal mouse food, another sugary cereal, and the last cardboard box pellets. After several days of filming, the crew discovered that one of the cardboard mice had eaten the other 2 mice in its cage, leaving only their heads, tails, and rib cages. The producers decided not to air this gruesome footage, and in the aired segment, Jamie vaguely alluded to concerns over the toxicity of eating cardboard. Another unaired segment involved the build team testing the explosive capability of a commonly available material. To their shock, the results were so spectacularly explosive and dangerous that they destroyed all footage and agreed never to discuss the experiment again, except when Adam reported their findings to the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Although Adam may have retained a rough cut of the cannibal mouse footage, it's unlikely to ever resurface publicly due to its graphic animal violence, as the Discovery Channel maintains a family-friendly image and avoids any hint of animal harm. But records of the results may exist privately, with strong incentives to keep them from being released publicly. Nattling Manes. In 2003, Dixie Chicks, now known as the Chicks, faced severe backlash from country music fans and a public hearing in London after lead vocalist Natalie Maines expressed strong opposition to the Iraq War and her shame in connection to then-President George W. Bush. This led to a dramatic drop in sales and sponsorships. Maines eventually apologized for her comments under pressure from their record label, but it was perceived as too late. In response to her statement, one fan sent a graphic death threat to Maines with specific details about how he intended to harm her at an upcoming concert in Dallas. This threat prompted Maines to increase security measures at her public appearances, and the Dallas concert proceeded with police escorts ensuring the band's safety. The threat played a significant role in the band's extended hiatus until 2013. Natalie Maines has kept the letter private due to its disturbing content, and only a few words from it have been referenced in the lyrics of their 2006 hit, Not Ready to Make Nice. A documentary about the controversy was titled Shut Up and Sing, named after a quote from the letter. Neil Shanahan. Neil Shanahan, a promising Irish racing talent, tragically lost his life during the 5th round of the British Formula Ford Zetec Championship at Alton Park on May 31, 1999. While racing at approximately 120 miles per hour, he collided with two other cars, causing his Van Diemen to crash into a protective barrier at around 100 miles per hour. This impact resulted in severe chest and neck injuries, and it is believed that one of the car's front wheels entered the cockpit and struck Shanahan. Despite efforts to resuscitate him, he suffered a cardiac arrest and was declared dead upon arrival at the hospital. Noah's Ark. A 1928 early talkie film based on the biblical story, is notorious for its flood scene, which reportedly led to the drowning of 3 actors, critical injuries to another, and nearly claimed the life of a young John Wayne, who had a small role as an extra in the scene. The film's flood sequence depicts the actors struggling in a large volume of water, and it played a significant role in prompting stricter safety regulations for stunt scenes in the film industry. Initially, the film premiered in New York with a runtime of 135 minutes, but received harsh criticism for its poor sound implementation and the troubling nature of the flood scene. In response, 35 minutes were cut from the wide-release version to address these concerns. Unfortunately, the longer version of the flood scene, which was reportedly more unsettling and included shots of actors drowning, has been lost. The 100-minute version is the only cut of the film that still exists, and the original premiere version has not been seen since its New York debut, leaving those 35 minutes lost to history. Otto Tryon. Otto Tryon is a beloved character from an Estonian TV show that gained immense popularity during the 1990s in Estonia. He originated from Misto Masto land and became an iconic children's character, appearing at live events, on various products, and even hosting a bedtime radio show under the pseudonym Mr. Mrs. Secret. Despite his fame, the original TV show in which he starred is entirely lost, with only a few resurfaced clips remaining. This loss is unusual given the character's popularity and the show's 5-year run. The absence of VHS releases and notable events, such as a producer's car accident and a child abuse accusation against the creator, may have contributed to the show's disappearance. While the format of the show is not entirely known, it seems to have been a mix of human actors and costumes, similar to Sesame Street. As of November 2022, only a single full-length episode and a few short clips and recipes from the show have surfaced, leaving much of Otto Tryon's TV legacy lost to history. Pan Flight 708. The crash of Pan Flight 708 on November 15, 1966, en route from Frankfurt to Berlin-Tegel, East Germany, remains shrouded in mystery due to a lack of key information and controversial Soviet actions. The plane crashed in snowy weather, resulting in the tragic deaths of all 3 crew members. The Soviet Union's refusal to grant U.S. investigators access to the crash site and the withholding of crucial wreckage, including the flight data and cockpit voice recorders, hindered the investigation. Theories regarding the crash include the possibility of the plane descending below its altitude clearance limit, pilot error, radar interference from newly installed Soviet anti-aircraft defense, and even speculation of an explosion or shooting. None of these theories have been definitively proven or debunked, leaving the cause of the crash uncertain. The missing flight data and cockpit voice recorders are crucial components for understanding what happened during the flight and at the time of the crash. Despite significant geopolitical changes since the crash, including the reunification of Germany and the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the whereabouts of these recorders remain unknown, making it challenging to determine the exact cause of the crash. Pedro Ruiz 3. On June 26, 2017, YouTuber Pedro Ruiz 3 and his girlfriend Mona Lisa Perez were recording a video for their new channel, in which Perez was supposed to fire a .50 caliber Desert Eagle at Ruiz while he tried to protect himself with a hardcover encyclopedia. Tragically, the stunt went horribly wrong, and the bullet penetrated the book, fatally striking Ruiz in the chest. Perez had initially refused to perform the stunt, but ultimately agreed. The fatal shooting was witnessed by about 30 people, including their young daughter. Despite Perez's concerns, Ruiz insisted on proceeding with the dangerous stunt. He tragically lost his life, and Perez pleaded guilty to second-degree manslaughter, receiving a jail sentence, probation, and restrictions on firearm ownership. While a prelude video was released to the public, the footage of the fatal shooting itself will never be made public due to its highly sensitive and offensive nature, according to Norman County Attorney James Brew. A transcript of the unreleased footage is available in court documents. The phone call from room 211. On April 16, 2007, during the tragic mass shooting at Virginia Tech, a harrowing 911 call was made from room 211 in Morris Hall, where 16 students were attending a French class with Professor Jocelyn Kuchernowick. The call, placed by Colin Goddard, detailed the horrifying events as they unfolded. Goddard reported the sound of gunshots nearby, the frantic efforts to barricade the classroom door, and the chilling moment when the shooter, Seung Hoi Cho, entered the room and began his deadly rampage. The call also captured the courage of some students who tried to stop Cho, as well as the dispatcher's attempts to guide and reassure them. The call ended when Cho took his own life, leaving a scene of unimaginable horror. The 911 recording is too graphic for public release, and hence will never be released. Pierlucio Tenazzi. Pierlucio Tenazzi was an Italian security guard who patrolled the Mont Blanc tunnel on a motorcycle, ensuring the safety of vehicles passing between Italy and France. On March 24, 1999, a catastrophic fire erupted in the tunnel. Despite the extreme danger, Tenazzi attempted to save lives on the French side. He entered the tunnel and encountered an unconscious lorry driver, Mortis Lebras. Tenazzi dragged Lebras into a fire refuge, but both ultimately perished due to the intense heat and lack of oxygen. Tenazzi's bravery and sacrifice are commemorated with honors and an annual event called Memorial Spadino. However, the audio recordings of his communication with the control room during the disaster have not been made publicly available due to ongoing investigations and out of respect for Tenazzi and his family. Straw Dogs. Straw Dogs is a 1971 thriller film directed by Sam Peckinpah. Upon its initial release, the movie garnered mixed reviews and significant controversy due to its extreme violence and an assault scene that occurs midway through the film. The controversy led to bans in some British councils, complaints from the Festival of Light campaign group, and criticism from prominent film critics. The film was eventually banned in the UK for video release under the Video Recordings Act 1984, a ban that lasted until 2002. Over the years, Straw Dogs has been reevaluated, with many now considering it a gripping examination of human nature and violence, despite its discomforting content. It has an 81% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes and holds a place in the prestigious Criterion Collection. The film has also influenced several filmmakers and remains one of Peckinpah's most iconic works, alongside The Wild Bunch from 1969. In 2011, it was remade by Rod Lurie with less fanfare than the original. Interestingly, there was an original, longer version of the film that underwent examination by the British Board of Film Classification. This version had footage removed, and that extended footage has not resurfaced in over 50 years, suggesting it may be lost forever. The cuts made to obtain an X rating included editing the sexual assault scene and a character's death in a bear trap. While Peckinpah's films often faced censorship and clashes with authorities, this extended version of Straw Dogs has yet to be discovered, leaving only the 1971 cinema version available. The Sun. During the Sun 6 trial in 2014, former deputy news editor Ben O'Driscoll claimed that the Sun newspaper had a 7-feet-high safe filled with over 30 years' worth of unpublished photographs, stories, and videos of public figures, including MPs, celebrities, and royal family members. These materials were considered confidential, and the editor determined whether they should be published in the public interest. While much of the content was deemed not in the public interest, O'Driscoll believed that it contained eye-popping revelations that could have significantly increased the Sun's circulation. However, the specifics of the safe's contents and its purpose remain speculative, with theories ranging from compromising photos to evidence of potential crimes. It is unclear whether the materials still exist, and due to their sensitive nature, it is unlikely that they will ever be made public. Timothy Piazza. On February 2, 2017, Timothy Piazza, a sophomore mechanical engineering student at Pennsylvania State University, tragically lost his life during a hazing ritual organized by the Beta Theta Pi fraternity. The ritual, known as the Gauntlet, involved excessive alcohol consumption. Piazza consumed 18 drinks in a short period, leading to a dangerously high blood alcohol level. He fell down a flight of stairs and was left in a severely compromised state. Fraternity brothers failed to provide timely medical assistance and even engaged in inappropriate actions. Piazza was eventually taken to the hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries. Several fraternity members were charged with various crimes, including involuntary manslaughter and evidence tampering, due to their roles in the tragedy. The case shed light on the dangers of hazing rituals within fraternities, leading to legal changes in Pennsylvania and increased awareness about the issue. However, the disturbing surveillance footage capturing Piazza's final hours is unlikely to be publicly released due to its graphic nature and ongoing legal proceedings. The Slaughter. The Slaughter is a 1971 Argentinian and U.S. co-production notorious for its low quality, created by exploitation filmmakers Michael and Roberta Findlay. After an unsuccessful box office run, exploitation distributor Alan Shackleton acquired the film in 1976, renaming it Snuff. Shackleton added a controversial Fox ending, making it appear as if an actress was killed on screen. This marketing stunt garnered attention from feminist and anti-pornographic groups, leading to bans in some cities. Eventually exposed as a hoax, the film faded from public consciousness until 1984, when Snuff and 71 other movies were deemed obscene in the UK. The re-edited Snuff version is available on streaming services, while the original cut remains elusive, with minimal changes beyond the new ending and altered title card. The Crossbow Cannibal. Stephen Sean Griffiths, known as the Crossbow Cannibal, committed a series of horrific murders between 2009 and 2010 in Bradford, West Yorkshire. His victims were sex workers, and he lured them to his apartment before killing, dismembering, and partially consuming their bodies. The murders came to public attention when footage of the murder of Susan Blaumers was captured on CCTV. Griffiths had a disturbing history, including previous violent incidents and a fascination with serial killers. Despite concerns from the police, he wasn't sectioned under the Mental Health Act. Griffiths confessed to the murders after his arrest and received a whole life order in prison. Some CCTV footage of the murders was broadcast on television, but the full tape is unlikely to be made public due to its graphic nature and out of respect for the victims and their families. Similarly, the photos and dismemberment footage remain inaccessible to the public, held by the British court system. Steve Irwin. On September 4, 2006, Steve Irwin, the renowned Australian wildlife expert and TV personality known as the Crocodile Hunter, tragically lost his life during the filming of a documentary called Ocean's Deadliest in the Great Barrier Reef. An unfortunate encounter with a stingray resulted in Irwin being fatally attacked. This incident, along with the aftermath and his final moments, was captured on camera, as Steve Irwin had a rule for his crew to continue recording even during moments of danger to maintain the authenticity of his documentaries. Witnesses from the crew reported that the stingray struck Irwin multiple times in the chest, puncturing his heart. He was quickly taken out of the water and onto the vessel Croc 1, which attempted to reach the shore as Irwin was bleeding. Unfortunately, it took an hour to reach land, during which Irwin's colleague Justin Lyons performed CPR. Paramedics pronounced Irwin dead shortly after their arrival. The footage was given to Queensland authorities, who later returned it to Irwin's family. It's believed that the family destroyed the footage and Justin Lyons no longer possesses it, suspecting there are no remaining copies. While there have been alleged pieces of footage online, their authenticity remains unproven, and they are generally considered either fabricated or taken out of context. Sacks of People. Apathy was a grunge band formed in April 2000 in Rochester, Minnesota, consisting of Luke Helder, Mike Stanton on drums, and Eric Hilscher on bass. They recorded and self-released their first album, Sacks of People, which contained 12 tracks. Initially sold in local music stores, the CDs were later given away for free due to poor sales, and the band also sold them at their concerts for $8. In May 2002, guitarist Luke Helder went on a bombing spree across the United States, earning him the nickname the Smiley-Faced Bomber. This notoriety led to increased interest in the band's album, with some copies selling on eBay for around $200. Currently, only 2 out of the 12 songs from Sacks of People are available online. Sadistic Bitch. The film Sadistic Bitch is a 2002 work by internet critic Brad Jones, known as the Cinema Snob. It was a graphic film featuring explicit content like shit-eating and face-pissing, centered around a plot of a psycho girlfriend taking drastic measures after discovering her boyfriend's infidelity. Unfortunately, the film, like many of Brad's early works, is lost as it was stolen along with his DVD collection. Despite Brad's efforts and some speculation about the existence of raw footage in his possession, the film remains mostly unrecoverable. Shrew 27. Shrew 27 is a film produced by musician Diamanda Gal's in collaboration with Italian filmmaker Davide Pepe. It is based on Gal's 1994 live album, Shrew X, and is described as an unrelenting portrayal of a body enduring torture within the confines of a medical facility. The film premiered in 2011, but has not received a digital or commercial release, making it unavailable to the public. A short, 4-minute segment of the film was uploaded to YouTube in 2012, but was requested to be taken down by Davide Pepe, one of the creators. Due to this request, many related links, images, and videos have been removed to respect the creator's wishes. Siegfried and Roy. The tragic incident involving Siegfried and Roy, in which Roy Horn was attacked by a white tiger during their performance on October 3, 2003, is a well-known event. While there is documented footage of the attack, the Mirage, where the show took place, has chosen not to release it to the public. This decision is made out of respect for Roy's privacy and to avoid potential sensationalization by the media. In 2019, ABC News produced a documentary titled Siegfried and Roy: Behind the Magic, which delves into the rise of Siegfried Fischbacher and Roy Horn's fame, the details of the tiger attack, and its impact on the entertainment scene in Las Vegas. The documentary includes a simulation scene to illustrate how the attack unfolded. While this documentary provides insight into the tragic event, the original footage of the incident remains unreleased and unavailable to the public. The Skywayman. The Skywayman is a 1920 pseudo-documentary film known for its spectacular stunt flights, but it gained notoriety due to the uncut death footage of pilots Ormer Locklear and Milton Elliott. The tragic incident occurred during a night shoot when floodlights were supposed to guide the pilots. Rescue 911. Rescue 911 was a popular docudrama series that aired on CBS from 1989 to 1996, featuring real-life emergency situations and 911 calls. While reruns of the show continue to air in syndication on platforms like Pluto TV, some episodes have been edited down to 30 minutes, omitting certain stories from the original broadcast. In one particular missing story from Season 2, Episode 8, which originally aired on November 13, 1990, an Oregon man had to rescue his infant son from a bedroom fire caused by an electrical cord. Despite efforts to find this lost story, it remains missing. However, the other stories from the same episode have been located and can be watched online. These stories include a paramedic injured at a race car event, a boy calling 911 during a home invasion, and a toddler accidentally taking her great-grandmother's heart medication. Richard Hammond's Rimmack Concept 1 crash. On June 10, 2017, during a hill climb event in Street Gallen, Richard Hammond, one of the presenters of the Grand Tour, had a serious accident while driving a Rimmack Concept 1. The event was part of a segment on the show comparing supercars. Hammond lost control of the Rimmack, and it crashed through a barrier, rolling down a hill before catching fire. Fortunately, Hammond managed to escape the wreckage before the fire started, but he suffered a knee fracture. While there is publicly available footage of the crash and its aftermath, the onboard footage from the car itself, which would have captured the event as it happened, has not been made accessible. This footage was said to have been destroyed in the accident, but it's unclear whether it was deliberately omitted from public release out of respect for Hammond. Rob Harris. Rob Harris, a professional ski surfer, tragically lost his life on December 14, 1995, while filming a Mountain Dew commercial titled 007, a James Bond spoof. During a jump from 5,000 feet, his parachute lines became tangled, and he was unable to deploy his reserve chute in time, leading to a fatal fall. Following the incident, PepsiCo, the owners of Mountain Dew, sought permission from Harris' parents to broadcast a modified version of the ad using footage from his previous jumps. His parents, after careful consideration, agreed, believing it was what Rob would have wanted. There were rumors that clips from Harris' fatal jump were included in the advertisement, but this has been confirmed as untrue. Several songs have been dedicated to Harris, and a foundation, the Rob Harris Foundation, was established in his memory. The whereabouts of the footage of his fatal jump remain undisclosed, with speculation that it was either destroyed or confiscated by authorities. Robert Bud Dwyer's final speech. On January 22, 1987, American politician Robert Bud Dwyer held a press conference in response to his conviction on multiple charges, including conspiracy, mail fraud, perjury, and racketeering. During the nearly 30-minute speech, Dwyer professed his innocence, criticized the criminal justice system, and expressed his intention not to resign as state treasurer. However, the speech took a shocking turn when Dwyer abruptly pulled out a .357 Magnum revolver, warned against interference, and tragically committed suicide by shooting himself in the head. This event was widely covered by the media and continues to be a subject of debate and discussion due to the graphic nature of the footage captured during and after the suicide. Copies of the full press conference are exceptionally rare to find, with only a 4-minute clip preceding the suicide readily available. Robot Wars. In the early years of Robot Wars, several incidents occurred. In the first series, competitor Barry struggled with radio interference while attempting to enter the arena, resulting in damage to the robot and an accidental lurch forward that cut a crew member's arm. In the second series, Hardvark faced technical difficulties and an off-camera accident that injured a safety advisor. In the third series, a robot with a faulty key switch unexpectedly moved and impaled the ankle of an assistant director, causing a serious injury and production delays. Despite records being destroyed, historical accounts shed light on these incidents, but no public footage or images exist, likely due to editing by the BBC. Pima Community College School. Jared Lee Lawner, known for the infamous Tucson shooting on January 8, had a troubling online presence before the tragic event. His descent into extremism and anti-government views was influenced by various websites, including YouTube, where he maintained multiple accounts to disseminate his beliefs. One of his notable videos, titled Pima Community College School, Genocide/Scam, Free Education, Broken United States Constitution, was uploaded in September 2010, showcasing his erratic behavior and criticism of the college. Due to the controversy and his refusal to seek psychiatric help, he was suspended and dropped out. This video was briefly removed, but is now considered lost media. On the day of the Tucson shooting, he killed 6 people, including Judge John Roll, church volunteer Dorwin Stoddard, 9-year-old Christina Taylor Green, Gifford's community outreach director Gabe Zimmerman, and others, injuring 15 more, including Giffords herself, who survived and became an advocate for gun control. Lawner was sentenced to 7 life terms with 140 years without parole in November 2012, and although his YouTube channels received attention, his videos remain accessible to this day. The Plague Dogs. The Plague Dogs is a 1982 British animated film directed by Martin Rosen, based on the novel by Richard Adams. It tells the story of 2 dogs, Rolf and Snitter, who escape from a research laboratory and face a series of harrowing experiences as they are pursued by their former captors. The film is known for its dark and emotionally intense themes, including inhumane experimentation on the dogs and gruesome deaths, such as a character being accidentally shot in the face. It faced censorship challenges upon its release, with nearly 20 minutes of footage being cut for its American release. In 2005, an uncut version was discovered in the director's possession and subsequently released on DVD in Australia and the UK, but the full uncut version has not been officially released worldwide, although the edited version is available online. Lynching of Rashad Staggy. On August 4, 1996, Rashad Staggy, the leader of Cape Town's Hard Livings gang, was attacked by the People Against Gangsterism and Drugs in a shocking incident. While a video recording of the event exists, its origin remains unknown, but it has been confirmed to have been watched as evidence in court. The footage shows Pagad members gathering in a mosque, their leader addressing them, and scenes of violence and chaos erupting in the streets, including a confrontation with Staggy in his car. After Staggy is shot, a firebomb is thrown at him, leading to a brutal attack before paramedics arrive to extinguish the flames. The video ends with Staggy being removed on a stretcher and shifts to his funeral, where his twin brother hints at an impending war between Pagad and the Hard Livings gang. Some photos of the incident are available online, but the full video has been elusive, with only limited glimpses accessible to the public. Ren and Stimpy Adult Party Cartoon. Life Sucks is an unfinished episode of Ren and Stimpy's Adult Party Cartoon for Spike TV. The episode explores the contrast between optimists and pessimists, with Stimpy representing unbridled optimism and Ren embodying a pessimistic view of the world. It was highly regarded by many Spunko employees. Originally intended as the 7th or 8th episode, it was shelved due to the show's cancellation. Some fans speculate that it might be a prequel to Ren Seeks Help, but this remains unconfirmed. While only 8 minutes of the animatic have been released, additional scenes and sketches by creator John Kay suggest there's more of the episode yet to be seen.